Good news is, for me, I'm here. The bad news for you is, I'm coming back.
What's the most important issue in the governor's race here in Virginia?
Getting back to the basics of teaching children, not teaching them critical race theory.
And what is critical race theory?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't understand it that much, but it's something that I don't, what little bit that I know I don't care for.
And what have you heard that you don't?
Well,
that you
I'm not going to, you know, I don't have that much knowledge on it, but it's something that I don't care for.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the bowl and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap. Good news is, for me, I'm here. The bad news for you is, I'm coming back. And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did, and back in those days, you saw how things have changed. One of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a bathing cap. And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, hey, Esther, you. Off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off. Well, he came off, and he said, I'll meet you outside. My car, these were all public housing behind it. My car, there was a gate out here. I parked my car outside the gate. And he said, I'll be waiting for you. He was waiting for 3 guys in straight razors. Not a joke. There was a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse, the only white guy, and he did all the bulls. He was the mechanic. And I said, what am I going to do? He said, come down here in the basement where the mechanics, where all the pool filter is. You know, the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off the 6-foot length of chain. He folded up and said, you walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, you may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head. I said, you kidding me? He said, no, if you don't come back. And he was right. So I walked out with the chain. And I walked up to my car, and those days, you remember the straight razors, you'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in a rain barrel, get them rusty. And I looked at him, but I was smart then. I said, first of all, I said, when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again, but I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams. I apologize for that. I apologize, but I didn't know that apology was going to work. He said, you apologize to me? I said, I apologize for that, not for throwing you out, but I apologize for what I said. He said, okay, closed the straight razor, and my heart began to beat again.
$7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico.
We've ended the war on American energy. We were in war. And we've ended the war on beautiful, clean coal, one of our great natural resources.
I eat extra sharp.
Testing. Hello. Testing. Hello. Testing. Hello. Testing. Hello. Testing. Hello. Hey. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello. Got a show going on today. This is the Above It All show, 1689. It's a lot. I've done a lot of these for some reason. I don't know why. I can't figure out the reason. But I've done a lot of them. Anyway, first of all, before the show starts, I'd like to announce that there will be no Cooking with the Bitch today. I ran into some issues yesterday, and it prevented me from being able to finish the editing on the most recent episode. So that will either be up tomorrow or Friday. It's possible. So just throwing that out there, you know, in case you're a very, curious individual. Personally, I'm curious. I'm a curious person. And so I figured I would let everyone know. Also, in breaking news, you got to vote in this poll. I am in 4th place out of 4 on the letter hack drawing poll because all these rich, elite, champagne socialists are using their audiences to bot the numbers. They have purchased bot farms, and so as a result, I need you to vote for me in this poll. This is extremely important. If you don't vote for me in this poll, I'll basically consider you a piece of garbage, and so you should go ahead and do that. But anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. This is a show. I have a candle here. I'm going to be whipping that out later. There you go. It's a candle. And so we got a show. Doing a show today. I will be reviewing A Nightmare on Elm Street 6, aka Freddy's Dead, later today. Hello, Bella Lugrisi. How's it going? Hello. Good to see you here. So we got a show here today. First of all, I'd also like to say, I guess this isn't first of all, this is like fourth of all. I'd like to say yesterday, my internet was not functional for a significant period of time, after the stream kind of cut down, so I apologize. Well, I shouldn't apologize, but, you know, it's still, I hate when that happens. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen every now and then. We have a Max dog right here, so that's an important update. And so anyway, yesterday I went to the grocery store while the internet was down, and as a result, I did not end up doing much work yesterday on the Cooking with the Bitch editing or other things, because I had some more pressing issues to deal with. But anyway, so we got a show. I'm doing a program. Bella is Sandy's house guest. That's great. So are they helping you set up the studio, or are you just like hanging out and like watching the show? Like, should I stop the show so that this motherfucker gets back to work? Like, what should I do in this instance? I don't know. But anyway, go vote for me in this poll. It's extremely important that you do so. So go ahead and do it. If you have a Twitter account, vote in the poll. It's not that hard. It doesn't require any, you know, just go vote in the poll. It's literally not that hard. Anyway, so yeah. Got a show. It's the Above It All show. And we're doing a show today. Sandy, don't you have 2 Twitter accounts? Vote in the poll with both of them. All right. So I've got some very fascinating information, to be honest. Some extraordinarily fascinating information. And we're going to be starting the show today talking about U.S. senators. I'm going to be giving a top 1 list of U.S. senators that are pretty fucking stupid. And number 1 on the top 1 list of dumbass motherfucking U.S. senators is Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin rails against, quote, revenge politics on permit plan. Revenge politics. Now, of course, I want to say this. Revenge politics reminds me of nuking the entire Build Back Better Act because Joe Biden mentioned your name in a White House statement. That's what revenge politics sound like. Joe Biden favorably said, oh, I met with Joe Manchin. It was a great time. And Joe Manchin was like, oh, how dare you leak private information? And then tanked the whole bill. To me, that sounds a lot more like revenge politics than whatever else this guy is going to be talking about. But let's check it out. Joe Manchin on Tuesday railed against what he called revenge politics. As liberals in the House and Senate team up with Republicans to oppose his plan to speed permits for natural gas pipelines and other energy projects. Oh, great. More natural gas. More clean coal. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? I'm glad we got some clean coal. Joe Manchin is really trying to help us all out, bring us some clean coal. Manchin, a West Virginia Democrat who chairs the Senate Energy Committee, secured a commitment from President Joe Biden and Democratic leaders to include the permitting package in a stopgap government funding bill in return for his support of a landmark law to curb climate change. I love that. So we're going to curb climate change by launching a new pipeline to get some clean coal. That's how we're going to combat climate change. Isn't that great? Like, do these people not understand? Like, I don't even, like, what? Like, I just don't understand. Like, I can't. So Joe Manchin ostensibly supports a climate change bill that he already spent years, multiple years, watering down. but as a result, he should be allowed to just get an extra pipeline in place. I like, can someone explain this to me? Because I just don't understand. But in the weeks since Biden signed so-called Inflation Reduction Act last month, I like that, so-called, Democrats and environmental groups have lined up to oppose the permitting plan, calling it bad for the country and the climate. Oh, no shit. Really? Climate hawks, such as Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey, along with dozens of House members, say the permitting plan should be excluded from the must-pass spending bill. No shit. Of course it should be. Many Republicans agree. Wyoming Senator John Barrasso, the top Republican on the Senate Energy Panel, called the permitting deal a political payoff to Manchin, whose vote on the climate bill was crucial to the law's passage. Manchin's actions on the climate, including secret negotiations with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, engendered a lot of bad blood among Republicans. Well, who cares what Republicans have to say? At a news conference Tuesday, Manchin expressed bewilderment at such sentiment, saying he's, quote, never seen such an example of revenge politics, really. With Sanders and the, quote, extreme liberal left siding up with the Republican leadership to oppose this plan, it's revenge towards one person, me. Oh, really? Huh. You know, these right-wingers love to play the fucking victim. Right, that's what they do. Oh, the victim. I'm the victim. Now, again, Joe Manchin literally tanked the entirety of the Build Back Better agenda because, according to Joe Manchin, the reason that he did that is because Joe Biden said in a press release that they had a good lunch. Like, can we talk? Like, Joe Biden said, we had a good lunch with Joe Manchin. Talks are looking good. Joe Manchin says, oh, how dare you? And then nukes the whole bill. Is that not revenge politics? Like, where's the, like, I don't know. Like, what is this motherfucker talking about? Defeating the big oil side deal is not about revenge. This is Sanders talking. It's about whether we will stand with 650 environmental and civil rights organizations who understand that the future of this planet is with renewable energy and energy efficiency, not approving the Mountain Valley Pipeline, a nearly completed natural gas pipeline from northern West Virginia to southern Virginia. Manchin's plan would expedite the pipeline and steer legal challenges to a different federal court. While legislative text of his permitting plan has not been made public, Manchin called the bill a good piece of legislation that is extremely balanced. Oh, it's balanced. What does that mean? It's balanced. What do these words mean? I need, like, you know, media literacy, right? Like, what does the word balanced mean? When Joe Manchin says it's balanced, what does that mean? What is he saying? Why doesn't he just tell us what the legislation is instead of saying, oh, it's balanced? Oh, it's balanced. What? And does not, quote, bypass any environmental review. Instead, it would accelerate a time frame that can take up to 10 years for a major project to win approval. Senator Shelley Moore Capito, also from West Virginia, has released a similar plan that would speed environmental permitting, but Manchin said his plan should have broader appeal since it would streamline environmental reviews for renewable energy projects as well as fossil fuels. Manchin's plan has support from Biden and other Democratic leaders, but a letter signed by more than 70 House Democrats slams the proposal as a, quote, dirty side deal being negotiated behind closed doors outside a proper government process and the view of our families and communities who it will deeply impact. I agree with the 70 House Democrats on this one. If passed, quote, this deal will only make it easier for the fossil fuel industry to cite polluting projects in our communities and perpetuate the industry's practice of concentrating destructive pollution projects in communities of color and poor communities. Now, oftentimes, again, these big companies, they'll dump all their poisons in the river that, again, poor neighborhoods utilize for drinking water, for example. You know, again, I really, like, this stuff is basic. You know, again, it really is basic, right? Like, Joe Manchin is, for all, like real, we're talking about reality, he has psychosis, right? It is, you know, it's a symptom cluster. You know, when you experience psychosis, you are saying, seeing, believing, hearing things that aren't there or are not true. So when Joe Manchin says that this is a good piece of legislation that's balanced, that's not true. He's saying it. He might believe it. I don't know. If he does believe it, that would scientifically, medically be referred to as psychosis, because that's not real. It's not real that this is a balanced piece of legislation. It's not real that there's revenge politics that are out to get him and only him. That's not real. That's made up. It's like if I go shoot someone, right, and then the cops arrest me, and I say, oh, why are you arresting me? This is revenge politics. They'd think I'm fucking crazy. Right? I don't know what to tell you. This guy has psychosis, maybe dementia, early onset Alzheimer's. I don't know. All I know is he shouldn't be a senator anymore. That's all I know. But either way, that's Joe Manchin for you. I'm gonna turn my air conditioner on. Give me a second. Where is the remote control? There's a little goddamn doohickey here. Who came up with the term doohickey? What is a doohickey? Is that any relation to a hickey? I don't know. I don't know. Who came up with these words? Anyway, we got a show. Today, we got a program. And I'm going to be doing a show today. I'm sorry if I'm a little discombobulated today, so bear with me. You know, I have a disability, and I'm disabled, so. Everybody, I'm going to need you to vote in this poll. I am fast approaching second place. Fast approaching second place in this poll. Honestly, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this on this letter hack poll. And I say this with all due sincerity. In fact, someone should clip this and post this on Twitter. Someone should do that, not me. But someone should do that because this is very serious. Right now, what we're seeing, the results, me being in third place, this is transphobia at its finest. That's what this is. And I don't want to be here. I don't want to sit on my little chair and, you know, weaponize, you know, my identity here. But I'm going to. This is transphobia. First of all, the idea that I would be thrown in this poll to begin with, I should obviously be given a free drawing. Obviously. But of course, the letter hack is pitting me against other people. And that is transphobia. This is causing me distress. I am under duress as of this moment, and I can't think straight. So, I don't know what to tell you, but this is transphobia, so vote for me in the poll. If you don't, you're basically a bigot, and you might as well just start voting for Donald Trump. So I don't know what to tell you, but that's a very serious statement. Francesca is pregnant. I mean, I'm happy for her, but I'm not happy for the rest of us. Because as we know, having a child is about, now look this up, but it is about, I'm pretty sure, 500 or 5,000 times as damaging to the climate as flying on a private jet. So, great job, Francesca. So, anti-climate, pro-global warming, Francesca is beating me, which is also transphobic. And I don't know what to tell you. And I you know, I don't want to sit here. I don't want to be here to, you know, having these incendiary conversations. But here I am, childless, right? Not destroying the climate, you know? Right? Not destroying the climate, no children, versus someone destroying the climate, destroying the planet, right? Think about the whales, think about the elephants, think about the coral reefs, right? Think about all this. Francesca Fiorentini is like, fuck that shit, I'm gonna have a kid. Hey, I'm just saying. So vote for me. Whoa! Alright. So we got a show going on today. I have 20 plus notifications on Twitter. Dare I click it? Look at this shit. Dare I click the 20 plus? Dare I click it? Jesus Christ, can you stop fucking tagging me on Twitter? Please stop fucking tagging me. Also, I'm in second place. But honestly, to be very honest, to be very clear, I don't take this lightly. I don't take it lightly that I am forced to go up against people that I otherwise would not be going up against. But it's required. It's required. Like, I need you to understand this. It is a requirement that I stand up and put my foot down. Because if I don't, who else will? Think about this. Who else will? We have motherfuckers out there procreating. Do you really need to procreate? Why can't you just adopt? Right? We have motherfuckers out there procreating while an innocent, impoverished transgender woman is being discriminated against in front of the whole world. The whole world is seeing these injustices take place live. And personally, I'm offended. I will be honest, I'm offended. So vote for me in the poll. That is my full statement. And that's all I have to say on that subject. And I have a candle here. I'm going to whip this out very soon. Well, not very soon, but I'm going to whip it out. In about 30 minutes. Anyway, 40 minutes maybe. Maybe 45. I'm going to click on these 20 plus notifications. Who the fuck is tagging me? Oh, this is a good tweet. This is a good one. All right, check this out. This is a great tweet, okay? First of all, better than you, follow me on Twitter. That's part one, step one. Andrea Rovenski should automatically win this poll. Anything short is transphobia. See, this is what I'm talking about. I agree. I agree. This is transphobia. If I don't win the poll and get everything handed to me, then everyone else is a transphobe. It's that simple. I really don't know why people are having such a hard time with this. Sandy is just sending me this. I mean, this is great. I love to see this. But, you got the whole thing. So that's great. This is just like the looking at Twitter notifications hour of the show. And, so, just throwing that out there. It's, I don't like being here. But sometimes we have to say what we have to say, so. Alright, so, Vladimir Putin is, on another temper tantrum. Recently, over the last couple of weeks, to my understanding, is, the Ukrainian military has been launching a relatively good counteroffensive, retaking a lot of formerly captured locations in the eastern side of Ukraine. There's been a lot of, reports of war crimes, torture sites, mass graves being discovered in these formerly occupied by Russian territories. A lot of people have used the term genocide. I would say, based on what I'm seeing, I would definitely say a genocide is a good term to utilize. Again, there's evidence of children being murdered and slaughtered and tortured going on. Now, again, the opposing side is going to say that Ukraine is doing all of that. Ukraine is, there's military operations in Ukraine that are taking advantage of the chaos to, torture people in their own country. Possible. I mean, it is possible. Very unlikely. Probably like a 0.01% chance, but it is possible, right? If we were to be writing a fictitious story, I mean, it is possible, right? But anyway, so Vladimir Putin is on a temper tantrum. He does not like that the Ukrainian counteroffensive is doing so well. And he's doing this, I saw this little clip here. This gives us the important bits of his speech. And so there's subtitles at the bottom, so let's watch.
Для защиты нашей Родины, ее суверенитета и территориальной целостности.
I'll read along just for the audio listeners. But to protect our motherland, its sovereignty and territorial integrity, to ensure the security of our nation and people at the liberated territories, I consider it necessary to support the defense ministries and general staff's proposals to hold partial mobilization in Russia. I reiterate, we are talking about partial mobilization. That is, only citizens who are currently in the reserve will be subject to conscription. And above all, those who served in the armed forces have a certain military specialty and relevant experience. Conscripts will obligatorily go through additional military training based on the experience of the special military operation before, I missed this, this guy's speaking too fast, before departing on the, I can't see it, the units. Yeah, see, there you go. The decree on partial mobilization is signed. Oh, that's great, he signed it. According to the legislation, Federal Assembly chambers, blah, 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 will be informed. Oh, they're going to inform the people. Anyway, so what he is saying in this speech, basically, is that he wants to defend Russia. Okay, he wants to defend Russia. Defend Russian sovereign integrity. The sovereignty of Russian land. Okay. Now, is Ukraine going into Russia? Has Ukraine signaled at all that they want to move the war into Russian territory and annex Russian cities and Russian territories to become part of Ukraine? Has Ukraine said that in any capacity? I've never seen anyone say that. I've never seen anyone who's even pro-Russia or pro-imperialism. I've never seen them claim that Ukraine is planning on annexing Russian territories. So that means, what is he talking about? Well, obviously what this means is Ukraine has successfully liberated a lot of their formerly, held by the Ukrainian military cities. Russian military operations took over in these cities. Again, mass evidence of war crimes, genocide, and torture going on in these locations. So Ukraine takes back its territory. So let's start this again. So Russia takes over another country's territory. That other country's territory, or that other country's military says, all right, we're going to take this back. It's mine. Now Vladimir Putin is saying Russia's under attack? What? $5 super chat from Andrew Kohler. Why are military slaves called conscripts? It's a better term than slave. You don't want to say slave on television. By the way, we just enslaved half the population. Come over here. Here's a gun. But again, I don't know, man. Seems to me that this motherfucker is, again, I use the term psychosis here because he is experiencing a mental health crisis. Right? He thinks that because you invade another country that automatically immediately makes that country yours, like it's property. So like, for example, if I break in to my neighbor's house, it's my house now, right? I broke in. Let's say they're not home. Or let's say they are home, or whatever. Let's say they are home and I beat them up and then kick them out of the house. Is it my house now? And then let's say they come in with the cops, or they try to take the house back. Well, it's my house. It's my house. I broke in, and I claimed that it's mine now, so that means now I'm defending my home. Would I be able to qualify for like a stand your ground law? Let's say I brought a gun, and my neighbor's trying to get into their house again, and I shoot my neighbor. Well, they're not my neighbor anymore because that's my house. I just have two houses now. I'm standing my ground. It's my house, right? In Russia, maybe Putin would agree with me, and maybe I'd be getting off on that one. But everywhere else, it seems that is not the case. When you steal something and they take it back, guess what? That's called you stole something and they fucking took it back. That's not, oh, it's yours all of a sudden. What? How does that make any fucking sense? So again, Russia is losing the war in Ukraine. I mean, that's factual. A lot of people get triggered by this. Russia is losing the war in Ukraine. Now, we can argue as to why. Should they have sent in all of these reserve troops to begin with? Maybe. I don't know. If they really wanted to win, maybe. I don't know. Either way, as it stands right now, they're losing. They're not doing so well. And so Putin wants to save face and claim he's going to retake the territories. So again, I don't know. A little scary. But this is what happens when we live in a society, global society, where we just let 5 men that all have mental health issues run the world. You got like Joe Biden in the US, right? You got whoever the guy in the EU is, right? You got the fucking, the motherfuckers in Iran, India, Brazil, China, right? All these countries, Russia. And they get together. They're all men, by the way. They get together and they have like, I don't know, are they on drugs all the time? Like they're experiencing psychosis. Right, they're all old as fuck, by the way. You ever notice that? All these motherfuckers are old as fuck. They believe that their own version of God is talking, like, Joe Biden is like, Yahweh is talking to me, woo, right? Like, the guy in Iran is like, oh, Muhammad is talking to me. Like, they all have schizophrenia and psychosis. And they get to decide what we do on the world stage? What? We're letting the sickest among us make all of our own decisions? So, a little bit of a problem, in my opinion. But hey, what am I going to do about that? So, realize I don't know what it is that, like, what's going on in your brain, but people voting in a referendum at gunpoint, and if they vote for the wrong thing, they get shot and killed. That's not a referendum, okay? I don't know if you followed what happened in Crimea. Crimea had a referendum where the high 90s voted to join Russia. Why? Because people went to go vote and they had a gun pointed at their face, and if they voted incorrectly, they would be shot and killed. So that doesn't sound like a referendum to me. But if there was a proper referendum, which is impossible at this juncture, it is impossible. Right, if there was like a referendum before Russia invaded, maybe that could be considered legitimate. But at this point in time, a proper referendum that's fair is impossible. A lot of people that lived in these regions have fled. They've escaped. They don't live there anymore. Right? They just don't live there anymore. And independent Ober servers say it was clean. I don't know, like the Bolivian election? That the quote-unquote independent observers at the Organization of American States said was problematic, and then they installed a dictator. I don't know. Who's the independent observer? Depends. But I would argue that it is impossible for the people that live in eastern Ukraine to, like, actually at all, possibly engage in a referendum. It's just impossible. If Russian wanted to push that before they invaded the country, when everyone still lived there, maybe. But again, a lot of people have been killed. Russian soldiers go in there, kill a bunch of people that are in favor of Ukraine, and don't kill everyone in favor of Russia. Well, that's going to result in more Russia votes in a referendum, right? So it's just impossible. We're at a point where it is impossible. They cannot possibly have a referendum in the same way that Crimea couldn't possibly have a proper referendum. But the world was just like, oh, who cares? And so Putin is like, oh, we're just going to do a Crimea again. Turns out it's not that simple. Yeah, it's just impossible. Like, again, if I moved into my neighbor's house and I killed my neighbors, and it's my house now, and then let's say, like, my neighbor's cousin who never lived there, or let's say, like, my neighbor's daughter who moved out like 30 years ago wants to vote on a referendum, guess what? Doesn't matter. You know? What's the solution? The solution is for Russia to fuck off. That's the solution. Like, okay, in this fantasy that Rialan is spinning, like, the people that live in these regions are going to move back or be tracked down and mailed a ballot, right, at gunpoint, and they're going to vote to become part of Russia, and then the Ukrainian government's just going to be like, oh, okay. I mean, you know, all right. I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem feasible. So, but I don't live there. I'm not a military expert. But I'm just telling you, when you go into a city and murder everyone that disagrees with you and then hold a vote, yeah, the people that agree with you are going to be the ones left. So, no one believes Russia is going to leave. I don't believe it either. They should leave. That is the only solution. I don't know what to tell you. They gotta leave. If I go into my neighbor's house and I've got like grenades planted and like strings all around the house, and someone tries to take the house again and they blow up or something, does that mean it's my house now? I'm a law-abiding citizen. It's my house. Might makes right. That's not how it works. So they should fuck off. Are they going to fuck off? No. Probably not. And it's going to escalate. NATO will probably end up getting involved. China will probably end up getting involved if this goes on for years. Right? Because here's the thing. Ukraine can take over the territory. Russia can take it back. Ukraine can take it back. It's just going to go back and forth for how long? Years? Decades? How long is this kind of back and forth going to go on? I don't know. To me, what is the solution? Just let Russia take someone else's property? Then what? I mean, like, I don't know. That was the solution with Crimea. Just let Russia illegally annex other countries' property and land. Just let them do it, and they'll stop. Well, all right. We let them do it in Crimea. Then they stopped, right? Then Russia stopped, right? So, wrong, actually, right? So, they're going to take over eastern Ukraine, and then they're going to stop? And then 5 years later, oh, they're going to go in and take over central Ukraine, and then they're going to stop, right? Right? I don't know. It seems to me that as long as Putin is in power, the world is in jeopardy. So, I don't know what to say. I don't live in Russia. I have no stake in the Russian government. I don't know. But all I know is that all of the world leaders should step down and resign. That's all I know. Every major country has a corrupt leader. That's just how it is. Brazil, Iran, India, China, Russia, Europe, US. All these motherfuckers are corrupt, old, psychotic men. So what are we going to do about that? Nothing? We're just going to sit back and let them destroy all of us? I don't know. No. I don't have a solution to that. Hi, Max. Let's ask Max the dog. Maxie, what the hell? I love this animal. Look at him. That's Max the dog. He's yawning. Oh ho ho ho. God damn. God damn. Anyway, let's move on with the news. The other day, I covered on my show that the governor of Virginia is doing some fucked up shit. Continuing the crusade against transgender people, specifically kids, because transgender kids don't have it hard enough, right? Constantly discriminated against by peers, bullied, probably would be discriminated against by their own family, nowhere to stay, no safety, no access to health care. Glenn Youngkin is like, oh fuck, let's add some more on top of that. And, well, apparently some Virginia school districts are planning on not complying. So, a trio of Northern Virginia school districts, of course, Northern Virginia is closer to Maryland and D.C., so those are the more, like, left-leaning liberal areas of the state, as opposed to Western Virginia, Southern Virginia, vowed to resist an order from the administration of Governor Glenn Youngkin that would sharply reduce the rights of transgender students, while others suggested they will comply as school leaders across the state absorbed a 180-degree turn in policy on gender identity. Late last week, Youngkin R. directed all 133 of the state schools district to adopt a new model policies after a comment period. These would require transgender students to access school facilities and programs matching the sex they were assigned at birth. I need to ask a question. How and why are grown adult men so concerned with how kids are pissing and shitting? To me, again, it is grown adult men, and one of their largest concerns is how kids will piss and shit at school. Like, imagine that. Imagine this. Like, this is the world we live in. Where our leaders, these are the people that their job is to govern and to lead us as a society. And one of the most important issues on their minds is how kids are pissing and shitting and where they are doing it. Jesus Christ. The state will also mandate that families submit legal documentation if they want to let their children change their name or gender on official school records. Teachers and other school personnel may not refer to a student by a different name or pronoun unless parents request the switch in writing. What about nicknames? What about nicknames? Let's say your name is Ted, and one of the teachers wants to call you Teddy. Is that banned? Well, we didn't have the proper paperwork. That's banned, right? What? So nicknames are banned? Like, that's the thing with these people. They hate trans people so much that they're willing to take away everyone's rights to having nicknames just to shit on, like, the fucking 7 transgender kids in all of Virginia, however many there are, right? Like, just to attack, like, less than, like, 20 people, they're going to revoke the rights to everyone else? Right? Like, what? What? Like, again, and these are the people that lead us. These are our leaders. They govern us. Right? They're in charge. What? Early reaction from school leaders suggests that while much of the state might comply with the order, Youngkin is likely to face resistance from more liberal areas. Already there is talk of a lawsuit challenging the order, with opponents arguing that it violates Virginia Human Rights Act, which protects individuals in public settings, including schools, from discrimination on the basis of gender identity. The Washington Post sought comment from every school district in the state, and most had no initial comment. But in Northern Virginia, initial response from several districts was sharply negative. Leaders of Alexandria City public schools vowed to maintain their commitment to gender-affirming policies for all students. Quote, "We are concerned with these model policies that do not align with our mission, vision, and core values to support all students and staff. In particular, our core value of ensuring that we provide a welcoming environment for everyone in our school community," said a letter to staff and families from the district school board president, blah, 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 blah. Falls Church City Public Schools also suggested it may resist. In a statement to the community, leaders said they wanted to, quote, "assure our community that we value and support every student in our charge." They wrote that the district was committed to following the Virginia Human Rights Act and case law that required respect for gender identity of transgender students, just like any other student. A similar statement came from the Arlington Public Schools, along with a link to resources for LGBTQ youth and assurances that existing non-discrimination policies will remain in effect. So you can read the rest of this if you like. But of course, anyone that goes along with neo-Nazi agenda is a neo-Nazi. You got 5 neo-Nazis in a room and 95 people that don't call themselves neo-Nazis in a room. How many neo-Nazis are in the room? 100. If a neo-Nazi tells you to do something and you say, okay, and you do that thing, you are, by all intents and purposes, a neo-Nazi. I don't know what to tell you. So when a neo-Nazi calls themselves governor and tells you you must hate transgender people, and you must make their lives worse, and you do so, oh, I'm just following orders. I'm just following orders. Really? Okay. You're just following orders. Great. How well did that work out at the Nuremberg trials? Just following orders? Okay, great. Good to hear that you're just following orders. So anyway, big shout out, of course, to the Northern Virginia school districts that are fighting this. Because again, not only is it illegal, it is a violation of the law. That's like if I was the governor and I did like an executive order that said that only I am allowed to run naked through the street. Guess what? That's illegal. It's against the law. But if I do it, am I above the law? What? I'm above the law? I just can do whatever I want? Are they dictators or are they governors? Do they govern us? Or are they dictating how we act and behave and live? So, there you go. I think that's a little bit of good news. But I want to talk a little bit more about another state that is going through a very similar thing. I don't know, man. These people are just fucking crazy. They're crazy and they're stupid. They're crazy and they're fucking stupid. That's all I can tell you. That's all I know. At this moment. But Tudor Dixon, who I'm still under the... My position is that can't be her real name. Tudor Dixon. I don't know. Like, what the fuck kind of name is that? Anyway. Was doing another KKK event in Michigan. And also wanting to target LGBTQ people, trans people specifically. So I want to play a little clip from this. I want to play some of the reactions. I want to read some of the reactions from the other people in government. Because this shit's kind of crazy, so.
Have lost their way. Somewhere along the way, radical political activists decided that our schools are laboratories for their social experiments, and our children are their lab rats.
Yes.
And we're saying enough is enough.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay. So far, I'm on board. Are we going to mandate that all children have access to a healthy lunch instead of pizza and hot dogs? Are we going to ban candy and soda and vending machines from schools so that kids don't develop addictions to sugar early? Are we going to teach kids, instead of mythology about George Washington's wooden teeth and how great he was, are we going to teach them about the slave trade? I don't know. This sounds good to me. Maybe are we going to shut down the schools and do online learning because 83% of kids in the U.S. have had COVID at least once. And there's a 30 to 40% chance that if you get COVID, you'll develop some form of long COVID, and that you might lose 5 to 10 years of your life if you have long COVID. Are we going to shut down the schools so that our kids aren't being forced to participate in COVID trials? Or are we just going to talk about how trans people exist? Let's find out.
As a mom and someone who's running for governor, we want to take our schools back and make sure that our parents are making the decisions.
Okay, so this whole talking point of allowing parents to make the decisions, my opinion, from a child whose parents made a lot of bad fucking decisions, okay, the idea that parents should be in charge of decision making on things that they have no expertise in, I'm sorry, I disagree. My opinion, parents should have less control over all of this shit. Now, again, who should have control over the curriculum? My opinion, education professionals. Not government, right, mandating that we can't teach kids about slavery because it's too woke. Fuck that shit. Fuck government. Fuck parents, right? I want a child to be educated on facts, real world things that help them, like nutrition, for example, how to handle money, etc., right? That's all I care about, is teaching kids about the world. When parents come in and start saying God is good and Jesus doesn't want you to jerk off and transgender people are going to eat your soul and the black people are, oh, guess what? Those parents are fucking crazy and they shouldn't have any fucking say in what's going on at that school. That's just my opinion. But anyway, it's going to get worse.
Our schools belong to the tax-paying parents, not radical activists.
Yes. Yes.
Too many schools...
So again, not radical activists. What are the radical activists? The ones getting in groups and banning books and burning books? Are those the radical activists? Or someone saying, yeah, transgender people exist and we shouldn't kill them? Who's the radical activist? Oh, we shouldn't want to murder black people versus, oh, we're going to burn every book we disagree with and slavery isn't real? Who's the radical activist? Does anyone want, like, can anyone figure this conundrum out? I can't figure it out. I don't know.
Failed too many children in this state for far too long. There are many good teachers that just want to help kids learn, and there are also many political activists that want to use children as props in...
Now again, the classic phrase of whatever Republicans are saying, whatever fascists are saying is projection, right? Like the idea that they're just concerned parents, like, I'm sorry, like no one believes that. No one believes that, except for the people, obviously, that are attending these rallies. But everyone else doesn't believe that for a second. They know what the fuck's going on. They know the game here. But, I'm going to scroll down here in this article because this article, quotes some people that are under target from Tudor Dixon's comments. Citing poor Michigan results on standardized tests. By the way, standardized testing, it has been documented that standardized testing has reduced education standards. Right now, again, my question, why is Tudor Dixon trying to suck Bill Gates' dick? Bill Gates, right, billionaire, Epstein associate Bill Gates did a nationwide push for standardized testing. Without Bill Gates, we wouldn't have standardized testing. So I ask you this, why is Tudor Dixon addicted to Bill Gates' cock and balls? I'm just curious. I thought family-loving conservatives hated Bill Gates. So just throwing that out there. Dixon said it's time to get the state schools back to the basics of teaching children how to read, write, and do math. Really? Read and write and do math? That's it? What about history? Read, write, and do math. What? In calling for the resignation of Michigan State Superintendent Michael Rice, Dixon cited Department of Education training videos for a project related to LGBTQ students, which have recently circulated through social media. Quote, the Michigan Department of Education is actively training staff to help young kids transition in terms of gender identity and instructing them not to tell their parents even if they are suicidal, Dixon said. Okay, so let me get this straight. Why? I ask you this question. Why would a child not want to talk to their parents about something? Like being trans or being gay? Think of the reasons why that would be the case. I don't know. Maybe the parents would beat the shit out of them? My mom was abusive to me, right? And the number one thing that she would tell me is don't tell anybody about what happens at our house. Don't tell anybody at school what's going on at our house. Right? So, I don't know. This sounds like abuser logic, right? They just want to beat their kids and they want to know why they're beating their kids. That's what this sounds like to me. Like conservatives really want... Like if I go to a guidance counselor and say my mom is beating the shit out of me and the guidance counselor then calls my mom and says, oh, by the way, your child just said that they're getting beaten by you. So just letting you know that they told people so when we send them home, you can beat the shit out of them even harder. I don't understand. Like, why would a transgender child or a gay child not want to come out to their parents? Think of it. Think of why. Think of why that would be the case. If the parents were accepting and normal people, they wouldn't fear at all about coming out. If their parents were rational, thinking, logical adults, they wouldn't give a shit. So any child that doesn't want their parents to know that they're gay or transgender or whatever, guess what? The reason is because they are being abused by those parents, and they would be abused even further if that's the case. So again, Tudor Dixon and the Republican Party is the party of child abuse. I mean, this is the same party that in southern states advocated for opening up spanking laws on children. Like, we talk about groomers. I don't know, man. Someone that goes to school and wants the school to spank your child sounds a lot like a grooming kind of behavior to me. That's just my opinion. Dixon was referencing an excerpt from one video in which the question of liability was raised if a student committed suicide and a parent was not aware of a name and or pronoun the student was using at school. Now again, why would a transgender or gay student commit suicide? The number one reason would be because their family would hate them or do hate them. That would be the number one reason. That is the number one reason why anyone would commit suicide. But especially transgender or gay people. If everyone in your family hates you and wants you and people like you to die, that's gonna fuck your fucking head up. That's going to fuck you up. And a parent was not aware of the blah, 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 blah. Kim Phillips Nope, the project lead for the Department of Education's LGBTQ+ student project, said teachers are legally required to report when they learn students are having suicidal thoughts, but that parents should be notified without outing the student, and the teachers should work with the student to let them guide the notification process. So, okay, we're treating children and teenagers as rational thinking, consenting adults in this instance. They have agency. If someone is planning or wants to end their own life, I don't know, man. Maybe we should listen to what they have to say. I don't know, wild idea. If your kid wants to kill themselves, maybe getting the belt and beating the shit out of them is not the way to solve that problem. Rice has no plans to resign, said department spokesperson Martin Ackley. Quote, Dr. Rice stays committed to working with parents and educators across the state to protect the health, well-being, and education of all Michigan students. Ackley said he has no plans on stepping down as state superintendent. The Department of Education said in a September 16th news release it provides local school district requested professional development to build the capacity of educators to provide safe, supportive, and inclusive school climates where all students can thrive, especially students who identify as LGBTQ+. Suggestions that the department had been holding secret professional development to teach school employees how to facilitate the sexual transition of children under their care while keeping the process a secret from the parents are patently false and deliberately divisive. Like, in the mind of conservatives, right? Like, you go to a hospital, you send your child to a doctor, and they're going to, like, wheel the kid into, like, the elevator, go into the secret, like, 5th basement floor, like it's from Silent Hill, and then chop them to bits, and then, like, throw them in, like, a meat packing plant or something. Like, that's what they actually fucking think. These motherfuckers that call in bomb threats and shit, they actually think that. Like, motherfuckers actually think, oh, I'm gonna send my kid to school, and then one of these days they're gonna go through the sexual transition. Like, what does that mean, the sexual transition? Like, I ask you this, if you are worried about your child being sexually transitioned, do you have any idea what the fuck you're talking about? How would it be possible for someone to undergo extreme surgery that typically has recovery periods of multiple months without you understanding? You're telling me your kid is going to arrive in an ambulance and be bedridden for 3 months and you're just not going to know? What? What? How on earth? Think about the logic and how this would function. Okay, you send your kid to school, they're going to be sexually transitioned without you knowing? How would you not know? How would you not know? I don't understand. What? Motherfuckers are dumb as hell. They're dumb as fuck. Rice said in a recent op-ed in Bridge magazine that schools are committed to strong partnerships with parents, but not all parents are supportive when told their child is gay or transgender. Quote, in the professional development sessions, we encourage discussions with parents about these issues whenever possible. Quote, in a situation in which the student is concerned about abuse, neglect, or homelessness, if parents are told, educators may be cautious about sharing issues of sexual orientation or gender identity with parents. They have a responsibility not to put children in harm's way. Conservatives, they want to beat the shit out of their kids, and they want as many excuses as possible to do so. That's it. They have a responsibility not to put children in harm's way, even inadvertently. Such decisions are not made lightly and are ultimately about safeguarding their health, safety and well-being of students. So, there you go. Tudor Dixon, man, that bitch is insane. On drugs. Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, so are all of these people. Like, I ask you this. If you know literally anything about transitioning, how could you possibly be in favor of these policies? I just don't understand. I really... Like, it's obvious that 100% of people opposed to transgender people have 0 to 1% knowledge on how transitioning actually functions. I guarantee you, all of these motherfuckers know nothing. None of them actually have any of the information required to make a proper decision. What? Like, that's insane. Right? They're willing to go out there and wave their signs and scream, fuck the trannies, right? And they have no fucking idea what they're talking about. That's called sheep, motherfucker. You're a drone. You're a bot. You are not a thinking, breathing, rational adult. You're a bot. You're a robot. You like, I don't know what to tell you. You really are. Like, just a fucking, you're a zombie. You're a zombie. Like, what is the definition of a zombie, right? No thought. No consciousness. All they want to do is destroy other humans. Now, typically zombies want to eat brains or whatever, right? That's not inherent to being a zombie. Right, so what are conservatives? They have no idea what's going on. No internal monologue. No thought. Doesn't know how to think. No critical thinking skills. Wants to inflict as much damage on other human beings as possible. Tell me, in what world are conservatives not zombies? They're zombies. They're not humans. They're zombies. They're subhuman slime balls. I don't know what to tell you. They want to hurt your kids. They want to attack your kids. They want to make your kids feel unsafe. They want your kids to die by suicide, by bullying, etc. Or maybe by their parents beating the shit out of them. That's what they want. That's what they strive to accomplish. Because if you don't endorse their Christian theocratic message, you are going to be killed. It's just a matter of when, how, and where. Oh, there you go. Today's show is probably going to be a little long. Once again, I'm going to check up on this letter hack poll. There's a poll circulating. Now again, I just want to say this. This poll, when I woke up and I was informed that this poll existed. In fact, let me check the quote tweets. I think oh, that's a good tweet here. Whoa, what the fuck's going on here? All right. I was at 9%. I was at 9% when this poll started. I am now at 27%. Round up, 28%. So now again, I just want to be very clear. I'm talking on my show about transphobia. I'm talking on my show about how society is built for people like me to fail. So either you can walk along and pretend like nothing is wrong and vote for someone else, or you can stand up for what's right. You can stand up for what is right and vote for the minority, because finally, at long last, people like me deserve a chance. So, vote in the poll. If you don't have a Twitter account, make a Twitter account. If you have a Twitter account and you already voted, make another Twitter account. Vote in the poll. Going to be doing a Freddy's Dead review very soon. I've got this candle here. I'm going to light the candle now because I've been waiting for this, but I still have a couple more segments I want to do. So I got a candle. I was at the grocery store yesterday and they had like a candle sale, so I was like, fuck yeah, getting a candle. Like, where should I put the candle, like where it's visible? Like, because that's what I want here. Here, let me move my keyboard. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, now this is a horror show. Right? Look at that. Whoa. All right. So we're doing a show here. Doing a program today. And I like candles. So anyway, I wanna do some fun segments. And really, this is gonna be just fun. This is just pure, like, we're having fun today. Segments, and then we're gonna get into a horror movie review, and then we'll go from there. All right. So this clip was sent to me the other day. Apparently, now again, I just want to ask the chat here. When you think of One America News Network, what comes to mind? What political, like, what comes to mind politically when you think of One America News Network? OANN or OAN. I don't know if the network, sometimes it's OAN, sometimes it's OANN. Right? What do you think? Well, if you are internet addict, terminally online, shit for brains, dumb fuck, you think, oh, populism and communism. So let's watch. This is Jackson Hinkle went on One America News Network to talk about how he's a communist. And needless to say, this did not go so well for him. Let's watch.
The man himself, Jackson Hinkle. Jackson, it's great to have you on the program. Welcome to In Focus. I came across you with the trending hashtag MAGA Communism. Now, a lot of people are going to hear that hashtag, MAGA Communism, and be a little bit confused. So I'm going to let you explain what that means, because I don't think you're a communist, Jackson.
Well, I actually am a communist, but at the end of the day, communists have a lot of the same goals as working class Americans made up in the MAGA movement. So we as communists want to unite with MAGA voters and finish the job of Donald Trump and getting the globalists out of the MAGA movement, because there's so many globalists that are trying to co-opt the MAGA movement.
Now, Jackson, I'm going to push back just a little bit, because you and I, it sounds like, agree on a whole slew of things. I despise big pharma. I despise big tech. I despise the deep state regime. But where's the differentiation here is, you know, I would consider myself a conservative populist. And it sounds like, you know, the views that you're espousing definitely fall on that line. So what makes you a communist specifically?
Communism and Marxism historically has always been conservative. It's a new era of communism in the West that claims to be adherent to these liberal leftist values. So this is not true Marxism. You know, this is Marxism funded by George Soros, and they're trying to take away what Marxism actually means for the American people. And at the end of the day, it means...
So, okay. Real quick. 1 year ago, Jackson Hinkle challenged me to a debate on... Basically, it was a 3-hour debate. You can go watch it. And the crux of the debate was I didn't know what Marxism is. And Jackson Hinkle is the ultimate Marxist. He is the ultimate Marxist. He knows everything about Marxism. That was 1 year ago. 1 year ago, Jackson Hinkle said I was a right-wing, like, woke, you know, liberal, whatever, trans woke person. 1 year ago. Now, again, 1 year later, this motherfucker's going on Tucker Carlson's show, One America Network, and is talking about MAGA, 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 MAGA. I don't know, man. But, okay, you might be thinking, oh, this is a really bad clip. This is embarrassing. Holy shit. Why would anyone ever do this? Like, if I was caught doing this fucking shit, I would delete all my accounts and hide from the internet forever. But I guarantee you, it gets worse. This is going to get worse. Check this out.
Securing a future that is worth living in, and the only way we can do that is by combating these major institutions rather than major monopolies who are stealing our, you know, wealth from us. Unite with MAGA voters on.
So Jackson, I think the point that I disagree with here is, you know, with the whole point, you're going to own nothing and be happy. That is the globalist goal. That also does fall under the umbrella of communism when you trace it throughout its history.
You know, communists today in America don't support the eradication of, say, private property or anything like that.
Okay, so if you look up the definition of communism, the definition of communism is a moneyless, classless, stateless society. There is no private property in communism. Now, there's personal property. You can have a house, you can have a farm, you can have a tractor, you can have a computer if it's yours, right? But you can't have a condominium in downtown New York that you rent out on Airbnb to just manufacture money for. You can't own extra properties. You can't fence off a random area and say, that's mine! That is communism. So what this guy is saying is communists don't believe in the eradication of private property. What? That's the definition of communism, my friend. That is the definition of communism. Now again, so he's going on OAN and Tucker Carlson show talking about how George Soros is like a woke Marxist. Billionaire George Soros is a Marxist. He's a billionaire, but he's a Marxist. And also, Jackson Hinkle going up there saying that he wants to secure a future for his people and his children or whatever. Really? Huh. So he's going on Tucker Carlson show, you quote unquote uniting with MAGA. There's no evidence that MAGA is uniting with him, by the way. There's no evidence that MAGA people are like, oh, okay. There's none whatsoever. And also he's alienating all the communists. So, you're not getting any communists. You're not getting any MAGA people. What are you doing? I don't know, man. This is fucking fun to watch. So you might be wondering, what is MAGA communism? You might be wondering that. I was wondering that too. So, okay, MAGA communism, is it like we have a universal healthcare system, but like the gay and the trans people get deported? Right? Like, you know, it's universal healthcare for me. Do we improve our infrastructure but deport anyone that doesn't have white skin? Do we lock our borders but like also have great train systems? Like what is MAGA communism, and how is it different from National Socialism, aka Nazi ideology? How is that different? Well, Jackson Hinkle is going to help us here. This is his tweet that he posted yesterday. What does MAGA communism stand for? Well, let's find out. Now, first of all, I just have to say, this graphic, why on earth would you have a background where there's white stripes and your text is white font without an outline? Can someone tell me? Like, not only is this guy dumb as a motherfucker, but he doesn't know how to make a goddamn graphic to save his fucking life, okay? But anyway, MAGA communism is for, let's find out, re-industrialization of America? Okay. What does that mean? Re-industrialization of America? Because on face value, I'm like, okay. Alright, I want to re-industrialize, I guess. What does that mean, though? What are we re-industrializing? I don't know. Dismantle big tech. Okay. We want to dismantle large corporations. We want to go after big corporations, right? Okay. Maybe not stop at big tech and just go after all corporations. End foreign intervention. Okay, we're gonna end foreign intervention. Now, what does that mean? What are we in, like, intervention? Like, are we gonna not have embassies anywhere? Like, what does that mean exactly? Do you mean stop the wars? Because if that's the case, why not just say stop the wars? I don't know. Abolish the CIA? Okay. End globalist imperialism. What does that mean? Globalist imperialism. What is globalism anyway? And what is imperialism? Well, imperialism is usurping land that doesn't belong to you and taking over people and colonizing them. You know, similarly to what Russia is doing in Ukraine, similarly to what the United States of America did in Afghanistan, right? That would be imperialism. Abolishing the CIA, FBA, and NSA. All right, so far, you know, again, these are all very vague planks, but so far, not bad, okay? Drain the DOJ swamp. Now, again, what does that mean? Now, this is my question about all of this stuff. What does that mean? The DOJ swamp. Can we define that? How are we going to drain it? Do you just want to abolish the Department of Justice? Okay. I mean, I'm listening, but, like, what does that mean? Pardon 1/6 protesters? Now, first of all, they were not protesters, they were insurrectionists. But, okay, pardon them. What about pardon anyone that was arrested during 2020? When George Floyd was murdered and people all across the country got arrested on fake charges. Again, Michael Reinl was killed, right? A lot of people were killed by police. Journalists were severely maimed. A lot of people were thrown in jail for no reason. Are we going to pardon, or are we just pardoning the right-wingers? Interesting. Pardon Assange and Snowden. Okay, I can get on board with that. Extend free speech to social media. Now, again, what does that mean? Free speech to social media? Like, you're allowed to just, like, spam slurs all day? Because that's not really that free speech, right? I don't know. What is free speech? Like, I would love, like, all of the stuff, I would love for, like, to have any of this not be vague-ass garbage. Land reform. Dismantle big agriculture. Now, again, land reform? Okay. I'm down to reform land. I'm down to reform land. Dismantle big agriculture. Okay. But what does that mean exactly? Unite with China on BRI. I imagine that's the Belt and Road Initiative. Okay. You know, we're going to stop foreign intervention. We're going to stop imperialism. But we're going to unite with China on their imperialist initiatives. Wait. Okay, so no more foreign intervention, but we're going to intervene in foreign governments with China? Okay, that doesn't really make any sense, but all right. Ban Antifa street terrorism? What? What is Antifa street terrorism? I mean, you can tell that Jackson Hinkle is a fake person. I mean, this guy has never done any protest work. He's never done any organizing work. But are we going to... Okay, I'm down to ban Antifa if we can also ban all the right-wing paramilitaries, right? Because there's like fucking 9 trillion right-wing paramilitary groups. And Antifa doesn't even really exist. So I'm down to ban Antifa because it doesn't really exist. But the Proud Boys also really do exist. Patriot Front really does exist. So if we... But no. Just Antifa. And also, what is street terrorism? Like going to the street and blowing shit up? Because I'm pretty sure that's already illegal. I'm pretty sure that's already banned. And that's like when motherfuckers go out there, I want to run on a platform to ban crime. Oh, really? Oh, great. We're going to ban crime. Good idea. Expand stable, high-yielding energy, oil, and nuclear. Okay, well, stable, doing a lot of work here. But, all right, leave NATO. Okay. Well, I mean, that kind of goes with end foreign intervention. But also, again, we're going to end foreign intervention. But we're going to work with China on foreign intervention. And we're going to leave NATO, which, what does that do for NATO? It makes NATO an enemy of the U.S.? Or I'm just curious. I need specifics here. Mass infrastructure program. Okay, I'm down with that. Declare major energy resources as public commodities. Okay, I'm down. Now again, would you say that MAGA people want to nationalize oil? MAGA people want to nationalize transportation? I don't know. I don't think that really works for MAGA people, but maybe that's for the communists. Okay. Banking in hands of people. Okay. Economic Bill of Rights. Okay. Cut military budget. Okay. Protect Second Amendment. Does it need to be protected? Is the Second Amendment under assault right now? Last time I saw it, there's school shootings every day, so I think the Second Amendment's doing just fine. I'd like to protect the First Amendment. I'd like to protect the 14th Amendment. I'd like to protect the 5th Amendment. I'd like to protect the 4th Amendment. But, all right, we can start at the Second Amendment. Okay. Cut foreign aid and democracy promotion. So you don't want to promote democracy? That's interesting. No open borders. Okay. Is that like in between states, open borders? Because the only open borders we have in the U.S. are in between states. Like if you go from Michigan to Ohio, that's an open border. There's no checkpoints when you go into Ohio from Michigan, or when you go from Ohio to Pennsylvania. It's an open border. You can just go. But if you want to go from Wisconsin to Canada, that's a closed border. If you want to go from Texas to Mexico, that's a closed border, unless you can get the proper verification and get approved to go through. So no open borders. Does that mean in between the states? We want to have checkpoints in between every state? I don't know what's going on there. Dismantle the military-industrial complex. Okay. I mean, all right. Promote Made in America products. I mean, okay, sure. Nationalize big tech. Wait, what? What? So we're going to dismantle big tech and then nationalize it? Huh? So we're going to get rid of it, and after we're done getting rid of it, we're going to nationalize it. Okay. Literacy movement. Now, this is the one I can get behind. We definitely need a literacy movement in this country. I think Jackson Hinkle is a really good example of why literacy is such an important thing in this country. Patriotic education and woke academia. Patriotic education? What does that mean? Like dropping the nuclear bombs on Japan was good, actually? Well, patriotic education. So the Iraq war was justified, right? It's patriotic to support the country. I support America, right? So the Iraq war is good, right? I didn't know Jackson Hinkle was a big fan of the Iraq invasion. End subsidization of monopolies. Okay. Remove red tape. What the fuck does that mean, remove red tape? From where? That's an incomplete thought. Remove red tape from... Subsidize gyms in every community? I mean, okay. I'm down to subsidize gyms, but are we going to subsidize housing? Healthcare? Food? Healthy food? Transportation? Education? No, just gyms. You can't eat. Where are you going to get the protein when you're going to work out? Well, you're not getting it anywhere. Where are you going to rest when you're done working out? Not at your house, because we're not going to subsidize that shit. What if you hurt yourself working out and you need to go to a doctor? Well, you're fucked. But we're going to subsidize the gyms. Okay. Lower taxes. Just in general, like lower taxes on poor people, rich people. What? Deport the Bush family, Clinton family, Obama, Pompeo, and Bolton to the International Criminal Court. Okay, but what about the Trump family? What? Destroy Open Society Foundation, WEF, EMF, and World Bank? Okay. What does that mean, destroy them? How are we going to destroy the World Economic Forum? Would we have to do foreign intervention? Because I thought we ended foreign intervention, except for intervening with China on the Belt and Road Initiative. So we're going to end foreign intervention. Then we're going to intervene with China. And are we going to work with China to intervene with the IMF? What? Okay. Gates, Ford, and Clinton foundations. Interesting that Trump isn't on that list. Dismantle Big Pharma. I'm in. All right. That's great. Destroy duopoly / DC Uniparty. All right. We're going to end the duopoly. Okay. End debt slavery. Okay, I'm in. Imprison opioid fentanyl networks. What does that mean, imprison opioid fentanyl networks? What does that mean, imprison the networks? What? Imprison the networks? Like, are we talking about street dealers? Importers? Exporters? So we're going to work with China to end foreign interventionism while we intervene in foreign areas. And China is the largest exporter of fentanyl to the United States. So we're going to imprison China. We're not going after dealers. We're going after the whole network here. Okay, but all right. Protect minors from sexualization. What does that mean? One, who is sexualizing minors? Well, we know the largest group that sexualizes minors are religious people. Religious people. So are we going to protect kids from religious institutions? Because I'm okay with that. No kid is allowed in a church or in a 10-mile radius of a church. I'm down with that. That's good with me. All right. Dismantle secret societies. CENTCOM, AFRICOM. All right, secret societies. So, okay. How do you know if it's a secret society, if it's a secret? Okay. Declare NED, USAID, and NAFO terrorist organizations. I don't even know what NAFO is. What is NAFO? Can someone tell me what NAFO is? Arrest George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, Fauci. Why would you arrest Fauci? And all Epstein associates and criminals. Does that include Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump is an Epstein associate and a criminal. Again, so we're going to arrest criminals. My plank on MAGA communism is we are going to arrest criminals. Oh, really? Okay, well, interesting. So anyway, Jackson Hinkle, needless to say, and I don't want to be too rude here because he is a kid and he is really fucking stupid, but like...
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
So, there you go. That's MAGA communism, folks. And, again, when he went on OAN, the OAN guy was like, you don't sound like a communist. Well, you don't say. You don't say. Holy fucking shit, man. Motherfuckers are dumb as hell. I also just want to say, like, on a victory lap, right? On a victory lap, Jackson Hinkle started grifting to the right after I destroyed him in an online debate in the battlefield of ideas, right? He tried to debate me on who was more to the left and who's the real Marxist or whatever. Meanwhile, now, 1 year later, he's going on OAN, Tucker Carlson's show, and, you know, being a MAGA guy. So, I don't know, man. Just saying, I think I came out on top on that one. In every fashion except for finances, because obviously he's getting paid a lot of money to be this stupid. And I have integrity, so sorry. But if Jackson Hinkle wants a rematch, he does say here in his follow-up, he does say, these are some of the biggest issues of our time. Like NAFO is the biggest issue. I don't even know what that is. So, I mean, I guess he's ahead of me on that. I challenge anybody to debate me on why it's bad or fascistic to unite populists of all backgrounds. Well, challenge accepted. I accept the challenge. If Jackson Hinkle wants to have another debate in the battlefield of ideas, I'm always open. But I don't know, man. Not going so well for that guy's mental health, it seems. But we all get to watch it, so. The subsidized gyms. That's so good. Anyway, that's pretty much my show for today. I'm going to be doing a horror film review pretty shortly. But you know what is scarier than any horror film? This poll. And the reason is because I am in second place. Now, again, you know, we want to talk about transphobia in media, you know, sleepaway camp, etc. Like, what is more horrifying? A movie made in the 1980s that has transphobic tropes, or transphobic tropes playing out in front of our very eyes live on Twitter.com? That, to me, certainly pretty scary. So, obviously, I also just want to say this. I find it interesting that the Letter Hack posted this poll at 8:20 a.m. So, think about this. My show is at 10. Letter Hack knows that my show is at 10. The Young Turks, right? They do their shows in the evening. They do their shows at night. So I'm going to get all of my advertising in the morning, and then the Young Turks is going to do their advertising at night, and I'm going to get steamrolled. Once again, another example of transphobia in media. the letter hack, and I don't want to be making any aspersions, the letter hack very clearly holding on to some transphobic tropes in their own brain. And, maybe just maybe I'll boycott that sketchbook. I don't know. Because this is some fucked up shit. This is some fucked up shit. So, this is worse than when Tyler called me a fucking tranny the other day. Like, that was harmful. But this is crazy. So, there you go. But I guess we'll see what the results are tomorrow, because the poll will have ended 90 minutes before my show starts tomorrow. But anyway, we'll see what happens. But we're gonna get into a movie review very shortly, and I got my candle here. Look at that. Whoa. Y'all, I have a lot to say. So, y'all, the Spook-6ular is here. It is happening. And I have breaking news. Freddy's dead. That's right. They got him. Freddy's dead. The final nightmare. It's the finale of the original run of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Of course, there are 3 additional films in the series. There is Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, which takes place in an adjacent reality. I'll be watching that movie tonight. If anyone wants to watch it with me, and we'll, explore the review tomorrow morning, that would be great. There's Freddy vs. Jason, which is a sequel to this movie. So this movie is the final nightmare. And then, what was it? I think Freddy vs. Jason was like early 2000s. So like 10-something years later, they added on a new chapter. So Freddy vs. Jason is technically the final nightmare. And then you got the remake, and I'll be watching all 3 of those movies in the next coming days. And but anyway, this is the finale of the original run of A Nightmare on Elm Street. 6 films, 2 trilogies. And I gotta say, again, I've been watching one a night since, I guess a week ago now. And, it's just super fun. These movies are fucking fun. They are fun. How much more do I need to say about how much I love the dream world? How much I love, it's rife with possibility when it comes to, creativity. Right? Like in the previous one, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, they have the manga comic book, paper thing going on. That's super cool. You got, the stairs. You got all this. Look at this candle, by the way. Whoa, look at that wax. Whoa. Anyway, so that's a candle. I'm going to light myself on fire here. I got to watch out. Anyway, this movie... Now, one of the things I like about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies is there really are no protagonists or main characters. They just really don't exist. Right? Look at this movie, for example. The movie starts with an unnamed character referred to as John Doe, who has amnesia, right? Winds up in an area near Springwood or whatever, finds a shelter, and then talks to someone, and then meets a bunch of friends. They die. And the fucking middle of the movie, the main character dies. And then the main character becomes Freddy's kid, who is revealed to be the shelter, guidance counselor, or whatever her position is. She's revealed to have been Freddy's kid. Freddy had a wife who he murdered, and a child who was taken away from him. And that's crazy. That's crazy shit. But anyway, I love how these movies, there's really no main character, right? A lot of these slasher films, right? A lot of things you got, the main character in Halloween, for example. You've got, there's always, the protagonists that are always alive for way too long. A Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't fuck around with that. A Nightmare on Elm Street is you might survive into the next movie, but really you can die at any moment. And that's what I love about these movies, is that, there is no one who's sacred. They can all die. If they don't die in this movie, they'll die in the next movie. Really, the only thing that we're missing is Alice. What happened to Alice in A Nightmare on Elm Street 5? Is she just living a great life? I don't know. So one of the things about this movie that I really enjoyed, Freddy's Dead, is that there's a very frequent usage of false awakenings in this movie. Now, false awakenings or in a lot of the A Nightmare on Elm Streets. If you don't know what a false awakening is, it's where you wake up, you wake up in your bed, but you're in a dream, right? So, but like, because you wake up. Now, one of the core tenets of dreams is that usually dreams, you can't trace your steps back. Like, how did you get here? Like, normally when you're dreaming, you kind of like end up in the middle of something going on, right? And so false awakenings are when you start your dream in bed, waking up. Now, you're in a dream, but you start your dream waking up, so you think you're in the real world. This movie does that a lot, where they have people wake up, and then, oh, they're in this thing, and then they wake up again, and now everything is fine, but wait, now there's fire. They wake up again, right? And so I love that. As a frequent lucid dreamer, I find that to be fascinating. I love that concept. The thing about this movie as well that's interesting is we get to see Robert Englund without the Freddy makeup on, because in this movie there's some prequel scenes, some scenes that take place with Freddy, his wife, and his child before he gets burned by the Springwood parents that took place before the first movie. And so we get to see like actually what Robert Englund looks like, which is a little entertaining. And again, this movie is great. I love like the stoner kid who falls asleep on the couch and then gets sucked into the video game or whatever. I love like, now this movie was released in 1991, right? But I love that the idea, so his character is that he smoked one joint. So you smoke one joint and then everything turns into colors, right? The TV starts coming after you after one joint. In 1991, we're not talking about any of this like high potency shit that we got nowadays. 1991, you're smoking one joint and you're starting to trip. Like, that's not a thing. But this movie just does that anyway, and it's super fun. I love the video game shit where like I don't know if it was on purpose. Like, all the shit was like didn't make any sense on purpose. But so Freddy is playing a video game where he's like, fucking around with the one kid who's dreaming by playing a video game, and he's playing with like an Atari controller, but it's got like 2 buttons, right? But then he makes a bunch of Nintendo references, like, oh, this is the Power Glove and I'm playing with power, but he's using an Atari controller, and I don't know, I think it's hilarious. It's a mishmash. It's like, can you really blame like them for like, it's a dream? Like, so, okay, it's a dream. There's no rules. And that's what I love about these movies, is that there are no rules. Motherfuckers are dreaming. Anything is acceptable. There is no limitation when you're in the dream world. Like, if you're watching Friday the 13th Part 2 and then like a spaceship comes out of nowhere, right? And then like, chickens start fucking coming from outer space, like Encourage the Cowardly Dog, and start like using laser eyes on shit. That's going to be like, whoa, that's going to take me out of the whole thing. In fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, no, that is the whole thing. You're in the Dreamverse. Anything is possible. And so I just really enjoyed this movie. My opinion is this is a great finale. Now, again, there is a sequel. Freddy vs. Jason is the 7th and final movie in this franchise. And then you've got New Nightmare, which is like an adjacent canon. But again, these are great movies. I don't know. To me, A Nightmare on Elm Street is a phenomenal addition to the classic slasher movies of the 1970s, 80s, 90s. I think this is just one of the best, because the dream world is just, there's so much creativity. My opinion, I think the death scenes in this movie, not as good as the death scenes in the previous movie, I will say. I think that the dream scenes, there's a lot of torture scenes in this movie. Like, one of the torture scenes is where the guy who asked Kramer if he ever killed a man has a hearing aid. And in his dream, like, the hearing aid gets, like, super powered. And then, like, Freddy drops a bunch of pins, right? The meme, like, oh, you can, so quiet, you can hear a pin drop. So he drops a bunch of pins. And then, like, the guy's, like, head explodes or whatever. That was crazy. So there's lots of good, like, torture scenes in this movie. But the deaths are a little underwhelming, in my opinion. Like, again, one of the kids that's being tortured is it's implied that she's like a rape victim. Like, her father would abuse her, and somehow her father died. And so Freddy, plays that kind of shit over and over in her nightmares. So there's lots of good, like, torture in this movie. There's a lot, like, really gruesome torture in this movie. But not, like, the deaths are kind of underwhelming, in my opinion. Like, the actual deaths are kind of underwhelming. That's just my opinion. Except for Freddy dying. He had a pipe. He got, like, taken out of the Dreamverse because they used the same strategy from A Nightmare on Elm Street 1, where they, like, grab onto him and take him out of the Dreamverse and then plant a pipe bomb in his chest. That was great. That was wonderful. And I also loved when they went to Springwood and there's no kids in Springwood and the fair had, like, all adults and everyone was crazy. Like, when they went to that school and there's no kids, the school's shut down, but there's someone teaching about Freddy anyway. I love the idea that the whole town went crazy. Like, that's a cool-ass idea. My opinion, a little underutilized, but also really cool. And then one of my favorite parts of this movie is, like, okay, so the pipe bomb blows him up, right? The daughter is like, Freddy's dead. And then, like, an Iggy Pop song starts playing. And then you get, like, a montage of, like, all the movie death scenes, right? That shit was crazy. I love the credits of this movie. Like, we're jamming out, right? Right? There's, like, a fucking greatest hits montage of, like, Freddy killing a bunch of kids. Right? It was a great ending. I love the ending to this movie. The credits may be one of the best parts of the movie. And I don't say that because it implies that the movie's over. My opinion, Freddy's dead. It's a great conclusion. It's hard to rank these movies, right? Because it's like, can you really say that 5 is better than 1? I think 5 is better than 1. But if you're watching 5 after watching 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's going to be better than 1. If you just jump in and you only watch 5, it's probably not going to be better than 1, right? So that's the thing with sequels like this, is, like, you have to watch them all. You really do. Like, you can just jump in and enjoy them, and there's enough context, you know, if you just want to watch a random one, just whatever, that's fine. You can watch them out of order, and that's fine. But really, the maximum enjoyment you're going to get from this shit is if you watch it with a candle on. Look at that wax. Look at that shit. That's crazy. Anyway. Maximum enjoyment is if you watch them all in a row, like I am. Freddy's dead. It's a great conclusion. Now, again, next up is going to be A New Nightmare. If you haven't seen A New Nightmare, in my opinion, if you haven't seen 1 through 6, A New Nightmare, you can jump right in my opinion. A New Nightmare is like a spin-off, kind of. It's a new canon. So, like, you know, it's, you know, there's less continuity. So if you haven't been watching these with me or whatever, A New Nightmare, it's on HBO Max. All of these movies are on HBO except for 4. 4 I had to rent somewhere. But watch A New Nightmare. A New Nightmare is great. And then you got Freddy vs. Jason. And Freddy vs. Jason is a sequel to Freddy's Dead. So keep that in mind. A New Nightmare is like a new canon, a spin-off. And then Freddy vs. Jason is part 7, essentially. And then you got the remake. So, there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed the first 6 installations of the Spooktacular. So far, I'm having a great time. And, again, I'm going to be doing some franchises. I started with A Nightmare on Elm Street. I plan on going into some other franchises as well. But I also want to do a bunch of one-offs. So if you do have a bunch of, or any movie requests or ideas, feel free to send them to me, maybe in like a week or so. You know, like, you know, I'm still going through the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, so if you recommend them to me now, I'll probably forget. But there you go. Freddy's dead. I think it's a great conclusion. I think it works really well. And that's all I have to say. So there you go. Alrighty, so that's the show. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns? Q-cock. 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 Questions, comments, or concerns. Post your Q's. Post your cocks. And once again, I want to remind everyone, Cooking with the Bitch is delayed. I ran into some issues yesterday. Didn't have time to finish the editing. Either I'll get to it tomorrow or Friday. Just bear with me. Got a lot going on. But I'll, you know, to make up for it, I did an extra long show today. Nearly hit 2 hours, so that's fun. I may do a Twitch stream later. I'm not sure. I can't guarantee that. But, you know, if you haven't followed me on Twitch, you know, go ahead and do it. Might as well, right? Like, just, you know, why not? So, go ahead and do that. Let's check out this poll. This extremely transphobic poll. It appears that I'm very close to first place. It appears. I would even go as far as to say that, well, Twitter, you have shocked the nation. Check this out. I mean, too close to call. Twitter, you have shocked the nation. So I'd like to declare victory. You know, the polls still got 20 hours left. Who knows what's going to happen? But we all know that I'm the winner here. Honestly, at this point, if I were to lose, there would be some fraud involved. So there you go. Mila, have you ever heard Curtis Mayfield's classic song "Freddy's Dead"? Probably, but I can't recall. But I've probably heard the song, but I don't recognize it by name. So once again, vote in this poll unless you're about to sleep and you're a hateful bigot. And so there you go. That's all I got. Bye-bye.
The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right?
Read the polls, Jack. Read the polls, Jack. Read the polls, Jack. Read the polls, Jack. You guys are all the same.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
To do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
I am not up to the job. And I mean that sincerely. It's not like, whoa.
They had a very bad original concept. It was carried out poorly, and the cover-up was one of the worst in the history of cover-up. Very simple. Bad deal. Should have never been thought of. Somebody really messed up. And they had the worst cover-up ever. And where it should have stopped is at the deal standpoint, when they thought about it. Because whoever thought of that idea, I think is in big trouble.